Ooh, very nice. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Romance Night. I know it's not official welcome time, but that was a crisp beer opening. Chris, do you have a special Valentine's Day beer?
No, I don't. But it's I couldn't really find a Valentine's Day beer, but this is a tasty brew
Oh,
from
nice.
from the Half Full Brewery.
Nice.
It's called Beacon. It's an
Oh,
IPA.
is it local? Is it New Englandy?
These are Half Full Brewery is in Stamford.
No
So,
way.
yes,
Can
it's
we go
right.
visit it? Can we go taste there?
Can what? Can you
Can
go
we go
taste?
for a tasting there?
Maybe. I don't know. I'd
Ooh,
have to look it up. Some of these
Chris, is
places
that
have.
a mason jar situation?
Mhm.
Oh, very nice. Well,
You get that jelly,
yes,
and
yes.
then you have this nice glass, and you say,
Eh,
I'm not
Here we
throwing that out.
here we go. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. I like to also watch on Facebook, just dive in there. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Watching our friends coming in. Mom and dad have already joined. Some other friends have already joined us on Facebook. Very good. Fabulous. Well, Chris, you know what I'm drinking today? I am drinking a kind of dry red. I don't even, no, excuse me, rosé. But in my flower glass, it's
Of course, that's your Fumfa
it's my pumpkin glass now.
Fumfa glass.
It's my pumpkin glass. I also wanted to share with our audience that, you all must remember my beautiful little baby Bailey's strawberries and cream from last week. I loved that so much. I wanted to buy it again, but my local store didn't have it. So they gave me this one to try, and I'm not sure about it. Tequila Rose. It's supposed to also be strawberries and cream. Write in the comments if you've ever tried this. And, maybe take some votes if you think
I
it'll be
think you.
tasty or gross.
I think you got to try it now that you have showed it, talked about it.
Right now?
You gotta crank that thing open.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I hope it's as tasty as the Bailey's. I mean, it's not going to be Bailey's because it's not, but ooh, it smells a little medicinal. I don't know. Here we go.
Tequila.
Let's
Come
give it a
on.
little sip.
Salute.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day. Okay. Oh, oh, oh.
No, no good.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not as yummy as the Bailey's. It is a bit medicinal. You know what it reminds me of? Like a cough drop, like a medicated cough drop that they tried to make taste like strawberries and cream. It could be worse. It could be worse. I will definitely drink all of this.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's
Maybe
still
over some ice,
yeah, put it over some ice. Yes.
or like crushed ice.
Ooh, yes. Oh, I
Mm.
wish I had little heart-shaped, like, ice cube, makers. Like, little heart ice cubes. Wouldn't that be
Yes,
cute,
that'd
Chris?
be adorable.
Be super adorable. It would be adorable if it had, like, something in it that, like, mixed into the drink as it melted. Oh, why didn't I think of that? I thought of the sunglasses, thought of my bling and my red with my little hearts and stars. And also I've got some chocolate here. Got everything. What have you got over there, Chris? Do you have
It's
any
not
chocolate?
even opened.
Well, I know I'm going to
I
be
don't have any
opening
chocolate.
it while enjoying these incredible readings that we have tonight.
I have nothing here that's remotely romantic. On
Oh, well, actually, Chris, I think you do. I think
well,
you need to show us that bod.
see, in other words, I just thought I would dress up for the evening,
Oh,
but really dress down. So, um, first of all, I'm just gonna
oh,
cover
oh, oh,
that.
oh my gosh. Are you? I don't know if I'm ready.
All
Oh,
right.
oh my God. Chris.
Oh, baby.
We are just full of silliness tonight. But we are so excited to welcome you all to Romance Night, Fumfa 41, our first ever Valentine's Day night reading. And we have love theme readings all evening for you. We're going to get started with a few shorter readings from Philip J. Curtis, Meghan Muldowney, Deb Carr, Susan M. Davis, and then we're going to have a feature reading from Meredith Kazer, all love-themed, romance-themed. It's going to get steamy. It's going to get romantic in here, and that's exactly what we want on Valentine's Day night. So we're really excited about that. And we hope that you are enjoying your Valentine's Day at home, enjoying your wine, your snacks. Did you have a romantic dinner with your wife, Chris?
Well, there were the three of us.
Sorry, your daughter.
Yeah, the three of us, and I can't say it was all that romantic because it was, but it was a lovely family dinner, indeed.
Hey, what was it? A nice pasta or like some?
It was a soup with pasta.
Ooh,
and, some nice bread, and
nice.
It was great. It was very simple, very kind of rustic.
Ah,
What I like on a Sunday.
That sounds just absolutely lovely. For myself tonight, I'm taking myself on an at-home date. I made myself homemade mac and cheese, which is my favorite and is a very sexy food. And to me, because I love
the bread. Do you do the breadcrumbs, or are you not a breadcrumb person?
Well, if I do like an oven baked one, I'll do a little bit of something on the top. But I have a slow cooker recipe that I've mastered, and I know it's very creamy.
Is it a goopy? Yeah, it's a goopy, creamy.
It's really good. It's really, really good. And so I'm excited to, enjoy some of that. But I had a wonderful Galentine's dinner, COVID safe, out at Washington Prime here in Sono with one of our readers here tonight, my friend Meghan Muldowney. Nice. And that was an incredible dinner. Like every bite, just like heaven. We had burrata, we had filet, had asparagus and mashed potatoes and chocolate cake and drinks. It was great. Yeah, it was really good. It was good. And but Chris, we've got a great reading coming up tonight, but let's tell our audience a little bit about what is also coming up soon.
Okay. Well, next week we have another special theme night.
We do.
That's right. We're celebrating Black History Month,
yes.
Featuring none other than Philip J. Curtis, who's with us today. Well, he's going to get the most valuable player.
Fumfa. Love him, Philip.
And also a couple of returning veterans, Stacy Dyson and our friend Lona Jack Villman, who's out there.
Hey, Lona.
I wrote it down here. The R looked like an N. I knew that was wrong.
Yes, Lona Jack Villman
next week.
Yes.
So we're excited about that. And then down the road, we've got all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to celebrate International Women's Day, which a lot of people don't even know exists. But we know it exists.
That's right.
We're going to celebrate that. We got some great people coming up.
We do. We're excited.
Way down the line, we got some returning people. Elena Dillon has a new book coming out. AJ O'Connell has a new book coming out. So, anyways, lots of cool stuff coming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris. Well, without further ado, we want to get into our Romance Night reading for tonight. Like I said, we have several special guests who will be giving shorter readings, and then Meredith Kazer, who will be giving a longer reading. So our first reader of the night giving a shorter reading is Philip J. Curtis. And let me read his bio to you. Yay! Well, you know what? Let me bring up Philip while I read his bio. Okay, let me get Philip up here. Hey, Philip.
How you doing? How you doing?
I thought I'd bring you up here while I read your bio. If you're still getting ready, that's
Then I got a
okay.
question to ask me then afterwards.
What's that?
No, nothing. I'm good.
Okay. All right, here we go. Philip J. Curtis is a writer, spoken word artist, and mentor. He's a native of New York with roots in Jamaica, West Indies, who arrived on the Colorado Springs poetry scene in 2006, bringing with him a brand of New York City straightforwardness and swag, along with the sensual son of Jamaica, West Indies. Mr. Curtis established lovesaverb.com in 2007, combining his love for music with his poetic flow. Philip, aka Midnight, is also an avid community steward. He has facilitated poetry workshops at various high schools and colleges. You can keep up to date with Philip J. Curtis, aka Midnight, via his website, midnightpoet00.com, Instagram, SoundCloud, under the same name, Midnight Poet 00. So we're excited to hear you read, Philip. I am going to, we'll keep it like this, or do you prefer like this?
That's better. I can see me.
Okay. Sounds good. And Philip, you would like me to be your on-screen audience?
As always.
As always.
You make
Okay.
it that much more exciting for me.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So I'm gonna start with a haiku and then I'll do 3 short poems, okay?
Great.
Fumfa shows me love. Katie, my thank you to you. Happy Valentine's.
Oh, thank you. How kind. That's so lovely. Yay. Well, we love you too, Philip, so much. You're a dear friend.
So let's get started real quick. Our journey. Our journey is a connection transitioning into exclusivity as onlookers discern the blissfulness of us being newly acquainted lovers, yet envious of the daydream of those that just want to be discovered. And my lips wish list comes true whenever they're touching both sets of yours, as if I was saying hello to my future. Since for you, I'm suddenly falling while still afraid of heights. Yet I long to be with you, be with someone until our hair turns gray. And on that inevitable day, I will turn to you and say thank you. Thank you for sharing each other's everything as death now do us part.
Woo! Beautiful.
Her love is demonstrated, even reverberated by the hair on her head, naturally flowing, addictive free, an extension of the love that she might want to share with me. Soft and gentle and yet still strong, whether curl or loose, short or long, bouncing, full of life, full of growth. And the thickness of her strands allow for ample versatility, her blackness, the essence of her beauty. The joy when you laugh, smile, and conversate with me, when sculpturing, designing her body, redefining. I look with pleasure as the symbol of fine stands in front of me. 1, 2, 3, one more glance of her head covering. Because this just might be the route to her loving and me rediscovering the reopening of an opportunity of her and me.
Woo! Gorgeous.
One more.
Woo! I love it.
Your beauty. Ageless, as time continues on. Subtle is your sexuality, you're pictured very clear. But what if you were pictured with you right here? How would you react after a short stare? Would I first touch your legs while running my fingers through your hair? Or rub my hands up and down your still defined rear? My imagination still runs as wild as if I were next to you. So I closed my eyes and kept imagining this woman dressed in red. Closed my eyes and kept imagining her body next to mine. Slowly, no longer fully dressed or the glimpse of her cleavage. An instant attraction. My reaction was to let time stand still. Time, but not my hands, stood still, nor the rising of my manhood. I knew that I could and would extend the invitation of my fingers a few inches below her belly button.
Woo!
I could feel something like a sensation, 2 or 3 fingers massaging. Her reaction, the biting of her bottom lip. My forefinger was a map to where my tongue entered, rubbing up and down her thighs ever so gently.
Woo!
I tasted and fully enjoyed her. Once again, I closed my eyes and kept imagining within a short time, our desires will start to be fulfilled. A penetration from behind. This isn't our first, but the night is still young time, because there is nothing like foreplay. Engaging with me is a game of 69. Your sweet juices dripping with pleasure. You are on the...
Oh no. Oh, we're having a moment of frozen camera. Oh, it was getting very steamy too. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, I think we're having a technical difficulty. Oh no. Hold on a moment. Chris, we've got a frozen poet has interrupted. Oh, Philip. Oh.
What is going on here? That's
That
like,
was
I
very.
think that's some kind of tantric technique that he's using on here.
I was like, what is happening here? I need to know. I was in it. Okay.
That's crazy.
Hopefully, okay. We had a bit of
I think the internet could not
handle the heat. It could not handle the heat. Oh, as soon as when Philip is able to come back, we'll give him a chance to continue to share at the end. Hopefully he'll have
there he is. I think he's here.
Okay. Philip.
I don't know.
Oh, I think
it's okay.
Okay. Oh, we got you. We got you back.
We got you back, but you dropped out right at the climactic moment, so to speak.
Oh wow! I don't know what happened. I switched my laptop. Now I'm on my phone. I don't know what happened.
You left us hanging, Philip. So you got to go back to where was he?
Where were we? Well, things were definitely getting a little sexy.
Okay.
We're past foreplay. It was hot.
I'll go from the line from foreplay. Okay.
Sounds good.
This is just so it's not a threesome. I'm gonna step back.
No, why not? Okay. All right. Yes. Okay, here we are. We're back.
I'm seeing myself frozen, so I hope you're seeing and hearing me.
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you and see you very clearly, actually. Yes.
Because there's nothing like foreplay. Engaging me with a game of 69. Your sweet juices dripping with pleasure. You on the other end repeatedly taking me in. Between the moans and drips, clamping down with the sound of our pleasure. Ride me, shake me, and we both quiver. Nipples hardened and erect. Time stood still, but somehow we sexed all night. You and I looked into each other's eye. A climatic ending that words cannot describe, nor can they be written down. Yours and my beauty shared a beautiful experience.
Thank you so much, Philip, for that gorgeously sexy poem. We're glad to hear the rest of it. I know we're all, Chris Madden just said maybe the Wi-Fi had to smoke a cigarette. All right, we love you, Philip. I'm gonna go backstage now, and we'll see you in the Q&A.
All righty.
Yes, stick around. All right, we're bringing up Meg Muldowney. Hey, listen, are you okay after that?
I'm fine. This will be a little less
Do you need
racy.
a moment?
I'm good.
Okay, good. I'm gonna, because I'm not sure. I think maybe I need a moment.
I need a moment.
I'm going to,
Like hot in here.
Megan, I'm going to read your bio.
Okay.
Meghan Muldowney is a lifelong writer who counts books among her best friends. She attended Lafayette College, earning a degree in English and anthropology/sociology, and has completed 2 master's degrees from Fairfield University in communications and also, of course, creative writing. She has a passion for rock and roll music. Her 4 dogs, does that include this new dog?
Oh, wait, no, sorry. Now it's 5 dogs.
5 dogs, that's what I was wondering.
Yep.
And the Yankees, but nobody's perfect. She is a full-time writing tutor and is currently at work on her first novel. So,
Yes.
Take it away, Megan.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And I just wanted to say a happy Valentine's Day to everyone that is watching. So I just finished writing this poem again, approximately 15 minutes ago. So I hope you enjoy it. It is untitled. Okay. You were ready for someone to light the match against the inside of your wrist. Hold it there until it leaves a scar. Proof any of this ever happened at all. You think you are settled into the pain, fizzling flesh and unforgivable heat. You learn to tolerate it as it fades. Warm your hands on dying embers. You shiver in the shade. You know what it is to burn. He's nervous for the first time in years, and you drink in his fear like it's the most bitter wine on your lips. You resent him ferociously for the luxury of being afraid. You have had to carry all your burdens yourself. You have allowed yourself few luxuries. You have clipped coupons for discounts, and the men you have pursued have been marked down from their original price. The pain he brought you as a present was safer than your own. It was last call, and he slipped away before closing the tab. You'd gladly pay the late fee on the storybook of his life. You're too stubborn to return it, but it's long overdue. Fines accumulate and you can't renew. The hotel room is vacant now. It's seen other love stories. You saved the room key and dealt yourself into a losing hand. The house bet against you and won again. What did you expect? When he rolled the dice, did he bet on you? Your lucky number looked like infinity, he said. You never knew it was never again. The building you worked in together was demolished years ago. It's been rebuilt, and you haven't driven past it since. You can light your own match this time. The end.
Absolutely gorgeous, Megan. Oh,
Just finished that 5 minutes ago.
Listen, I love that you do that. I think that is so fabulous. I think that is such a daring and very inspired thing to do. Really incredible, really gorgeous. You know, my mom's in the chat saying, "Wow."
Hi, Katie's mom.
and powerful poem. You got some lovely comments coming, and you'll have to check them out later.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Megan. That was so gorgeous. McGallantine.
That was such a great dinner.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Megan. We'll see you in the Q&A, and we are going to bring up Deb Carr. All right. Welcome, Deb.
Welcome. Thank you.
How are you tonight? How are you doing tonight?
I am doing fine. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I couldn't find anything in red, so I had to go with rosé.
Oh,
But
stop.
I did have like a Pinot Noir. So
Hey, nice. All right. I'm going to share your bio with everyone, and then we will leave it to you.
Okay.
All right. Deb Carr is a 2019 Fairfield MFA graduate. She also has a BA in English from the University of Maryland. However, that was a while back, and she spent her time doing everything except English, acquiring a DVM and a Master's of Public Health along the way. She spent over 10 years in the Air Force as a public health officer, traveling to such exotic locations as South Korea, Germany, Hawaii, and Texas. While stationed in the latter, she had 2 10-minute-long Texas-themed plays produced. The idea of becoming a writer kept coming back, like grass growing between the cracks of a sidewalk. So she finally decided to cross the Enders Island Causeway. Her Fumfa thesis was a screenplay, Ojibwe Lake, a psychological thriller. She's decided that Rod Serling is her spirit animal. She hasn't had any fiction published yet, although she's had nonfiction science articles published in an online British publication focused on chemical and biological warfare, writing about topics ranging from zoonotic diseases to COVID-19. How absolutely fascinating, Deb. All right. Well, we're looking forward to your reading.
All right. Here we go. Love letter to a dog. The difference between a cat and a dog is this. A cat is like a self-sufficient house guest, while a dog is like a toddler. You weren't actually like a toddler, though. You were more like a diva. You went by many nicknames over the years. Piglet, Little Hippo, Toad Dog. That last one was the most accurate. A bulldog looks like a science experiment created with canine toad DNA. One morning, I actually found you sitting next to a toad under the yard light, apparently reminiscing with each other about past lives. Having a square body and no neck, you moved like a dump truck. You couldn't easily turn around in corners, so you had to put yourself in reverse to get out of them. You used the same technique to negotiate slick wooden floors. With your short, stubby legs, you were about as athletic as a brick, only able to run in short bursts, like a linebacker. You had to bunny hop up steps, one at a time. You came down steps one at a time, putting one stout front foot out to brace yourself, landing heavily. Someone hearing you coming down the stairs might think you were a pirate with a peg leg. But back to you being a diva. You never did anything you didn't want to do. You preferred self-directed walks to wearing a leash and collar, and when we were somewhere where you couldn't go free range, you sulked. You had no real desire to go for a walk, unless you could meet people or air snap at another dog. Once, when you were about a year old, I unpackaged a bagel-shaped dog bed that I'd ordered as a replacement for the one that you chewed to shreds. You started running from the far end of the room and enthusiastically leapt into the middle of the bed, repeatedly. That wasn't the only thing you were obsessive about. I often had to rescue the cat from your clutches. I'd hear Kitty squalling indignantly and find you pinning him down, attempting to hump him. He was a male cat and you were a female dog, so this was weird on many different levels, until one realized that in dog language, attempting to hump another animal or someone's leg, something you were notorious for after just meeting people, is actually a sign of dominance, not pent-up sexual tension. That's the problem with human-centric thinking. People think dogs are people and are surprised when they actually act like dogs. However, other than occasionally trying to hump Kitty, you two played together and peacefully coexisted until my boyfriend came into the picture. Both you and Kitty liked Danny very much, which led to jealousy. Kitty could jump up on beds and sofas, and you could not. So you perceived he got an unfair amount of face time and took to petulantly snapping at him. Fortunately, Kitty leapt like a deer and escaped you. You went through many changes of homes, a rented craftsman house in Thurmont, Maryland, just a few miles away from Camp David, a 100-year-old farmhouse in southern Maryland, an apartment in Alexandria, Virginia, where you acquired a lifelong dislike of diesel engine vehicles after being startled by a city bus, an apartment in Frederick, Maryland, where I moved to sort things out after a painful breakup with said boyfriend, and finally, a townhouse that I purchased just south of Frederick. Being a dog, you took changes in venue in stride, which I envied. You loved everyone that you ever met, that is, provided they were a human. Whether you would actually like another dog was always a 50-50 proposition. Sometimes your inner pit bull was unleashed. The disagreements that you got into with my sister's corgi, for instance, resembled the fight to the death between the sled dogs and Call of the Wild. Then there was that time in doggy daycare that you got into a tussle with a Catahoula, a dog twice your size. Although you sustained a bloody ear in the process, I was secretly proud. Oh, I did say this was a love letter, and all I've done is relate what a pain in the ass that you were. Well, no relationship is perfect. As far as you were concerned, I was your world. And you grew on me. I got used to you snoring like a lumberjack every night on your bed on the floor, right next to mine. That's why the wooden box holding your ashes sits on the windowsill of the dining room, right next to your paw print in clay. The end.
That was great. I could relate to so much of that. You know, my dog recently had a fight with a beaver.
Wow.
Yeah, that was something. And so, you know, dogs are crazy, but we love them, don't we?
Yes.
That was great. That's true love, and they love us back.
Yes, they do.
Thank you, Deb.
Sure.
All right, so we're gonna move on, but you stick around.
Will do.
For the Q&A. Now we're bringing up our good friend Susan M. Davis. How you doing? Wait a second, can't hear you.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to read your bio here.
All right.
Right? Okay, Susan Davis is the author of the memoir Where There Is Breath, There Is Life, published by Adelaide Press. She also has a collection of poetry called Lipstick Lesbian that is due out in November of this year. Let's see. She writes, and this is in quotes, BA, California State University, Fullerton. That's in educational counseling, I believe. Teaching credential, same place. 3 master's degrees. Okay. No, let's see. Oh, I can't read this, Susan. Is your master's in educational counseling, and then the second master's is an MFA in nonfiction, a third master's MFA in fiction. She's working on her 4th master's MFA poetry, all at Fairfield University. She has 2 essays published, Adelaide Press, I Just Want to Feel Safe, and Cockroaches. Susan lives with her wife, who suffered and survived a twice ruptured brain aneurysm. She's written a lot about that very powerfully. And she's currently working on a second memoir called Being Gay in a Straight Woman's World. All right, then. Take it away, Susan.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to tell you what Valentine's Day is not to my wife and I. Valentine's Day, what does it really mean? I have had the secret Valentine's Day where my lover and I were having a love affair. She was married with 2 children. I was 20 and naive. She was 33. We exchanged Valentine cards in the shopping center between the 2 cities in which we lived. We sat in our cars. Our presents were small. She couldn't take anything home for her family to see. I was sworn to secrecy by her to not tell anyone about our lesbian love affair. That was my introduction to Valentine's Day. The doctor, a radiologist, not much of a lover, more for show, went to fabulous, expensive restaurants, 2 incredible vacations, but nothing ever communicated with love or emotions. An awesome gift giver, but never celebrated a Valentine's evening together. There was the psychotic ex who wanted a dinner party in Laguna Beach for all her friends. It would not be a Valentine's night for the 2 of us. It was a party for all the single women who would otherwise be alone. A nice gesture, but not a Valentine's evening that I would consider repeating. However, the best part of the night was not being alone with my psychotic ex. The entrepreneur. She was interested in money. However, she is the one that made Valentine's special one year. Chinese food ordered for takeout, the blanket spread on the living room floor, the fire in the fireplace, and a view of the Pacific Ocean of Laguna Beach out her large picture frame window. Kenny G playing in the background, one of the most romantic Valentine evenings of my life. Making love for dessert on the sofa with the fire roaring in the fireplace and Kenny G playing his magical music. That was the one and only fabulous Valentine evenings I ever had with her. Last but surely not least is my bear, the woman who I now call my wife. Karen and I have been together for nearly 17 years. A diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis after only 4 months of being together. We bought a home in Irvine, California. We had it all, so we thought. Karen couldn't walk. She couldn't open bottles of water. Eventually, we ended up at UCLA. She went through clinical trials. This meant routine trips to UCLA, and I'm sure you've all heard of the horrific traffic in Los Angeles. But I would stay with her. I would stay by her side. Valentine's Day came and went, so did our sexual relationship because of all the medication she was on for her clinical trials. Eventually, I wanted more. I needed a partner who wanted sex as much as me. We sold our beautiful home, bought condos down the hill, and we lived side by side. That didn't last long. We both loved one another, whether we were labeled as partners, lovers, best friends, it didn't matter. We had to live together. Thank God we did. 1 month later, the explosion hit. The next month, Karen suffered a twice ruptured brain aneurysm. While in a coma, I wrote her a letter. Dear Bear, I knew you could do it. You are filled with strength and a desire to continue to be a part of this world. Sharing our retirement years has always been important to both of us. I can't wait until you are fully awake so I can tell you all that happened during this entire 6 weeks you were asleep. You missed the Olympics in China, something you were so looking forward to. You missed the beginning of Hillary Clinton's run. This is in 2008 of the United States. Today, I did get to see your brown eyes for a minute, your head moving left to right, and your hands moving all over the place. Your tongue was moving too, trying to lick a small piece of skin that was on your lower lip. Your tongue moved slowly, knowing something was there, but not sure how to get to it. You are doing things that all of us take for granted. I love you, Bear, and I promise I will be by your side throughout this journey and the rest of our lives. Love, Boo. It is 12 years since Bear's brain aneurysm. We celebrate every day like it is a Valentine's Day. Her miracles continue, and they are gift enough for me. From learning to walk, to talk, to remember, to brushing her own teeth at night, to taking a shower on her own, now doing laundry, cooking dinners for us, being alone in our home for 4 hours so I can go to coffee, and at times playing on her iPad, knowing more than I do. She is the gift I receive every day. So for us, no celebration tonight, because every day we are alive is our gift to one another. Thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous, Susan.
Thank
so,
you.
so beautiful. I have tears in my eyes.
Oh, thank you.
The
Thank
gift I
you.
receive every day. Absolutely gorgeous. And
Thank you.
happy Valentine's Day to
Thank
you and Karen.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you so much, Susan. We'll see you in the Q&A.
Sounds great.
And we'll bring up Meredith now. Welcome, Meredith.
Hey, hi, Katie. Thanks for having me today. You and Chris, so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you. And, you know, you're we had all these incredible readings. You're our feature reader for tonight. So make sure to, you know, take your full time and enjoy everything. I'm going to share your bio with our audience. All right. Dr. Meredith Kazer is a 2001 PhD graduate of New York University's Steinhardt School and a 2015 graduate of Fairfield University's MFA program. She is the Dean of Fairfield University's Egan School of Nursing, which is a top-ranked school of nursing and health studies by day, and she sneaks her creative writing into the margins of her busy life. Her first novel, The Keeping House, was published in 2019. Prior to pursuing fiction, she published 11 professional nursing books and earned 4 American Journal of Nursing Book of the Year awards. And you can learn more at meredithkazer.com. Absolutely incredible. We're excited to hear your reading.
Great. Well, thanks, Katie. And it was so hard to follow Susan. Susan and I were in the MFA program for a little while together. We had a small overlap, so hard to follow that beautiful, beautiful piece. So, but thank you all for having me today, and happy Valentine's Day. So today I'm going to read from my second novel. As Katie just said, my first novel, The Keeping House, was published in August 2019, and this is a sequel to that one. You don't have to read the first book to read, to kind of follow along, but what I'm going to read tonight is about 3/4 of the way through the saga of this couple. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of background. The Keeping House opens with Lauren Sarah and her 5-year-old son Brian sitting on the crumbling stone steps of this dilapidated 19th century Queen Anne home that she's been eyeing for years. She's a bit down on her luck. Her husband recently died of lung cancer and left her with a ton of debt. So she schemes to buy this house with her mother, and she hires a gorgeous mason named Drew to fix it. If you can kind of envision his body, it looks like what Chris had on before earlier in the introductions here. So the story goes back and forth between Laura and the original homeowner of the Queen Anne home, Charles, who built the house for his wife, Sarah. There's lots of twists and turns in the first book with some missing children and secret rooms revealed, and maybe a surprising connection between Charles and Lauren. So Ring Road, which I'm going to read from tonight, opens 7 years later as Lauren and her husband Drew, pull into the driveway of an 18th century farmhouse that they're looking to buy. So they got married, and they've also been trying to have a baby for a while, and it's taken a real toll on their relationship. Like The Keeping House, Ring Road goes back and forth between Lauren and the Ring family, who built the house in 1742, and the house remained in the same family until Lauren and Drew buy it. The house, when they buy the house, there's a binder of family history and photos left behind by the Ring family. And Lauren becomes kind of obsessed with the story to the point that the Ring family, she may see a Ring family ghost, and they kind of visit her in her dreams. So finally, Lauren gets pregnant, but tragically, they lose the baby, and this sinks her into a deep depression and brings their marriage to the brink of almost no return. Lauren makes a significant error, medication error at work, and she's forced to take a leave of absence. So she travels down to Georgia to visit her mother and her grandfather. And she and Drew have been speaking on the phone daily. She's been writing and healing, and she met another woman named Evelyn who is going through her own challenges. So what I'm going to read right now is her return home after she's been gone for a month, and she's just walking into her house, and so this is her homecoming. Lauren, bristling from the chilled New England air that permeated her old house in May, hung her handbag by the door. The house seemed strained, as if her absence the past month had deprived it of all human life rather than merely her own. She dispensed with her careful treads through the rear door to shed herself throughout the space she'd once dominated. The back door was still open, allowing Drew to pass through with her bags. She loathed to take off her coat amidst the cool air blowing in, but needed to spread herself throughout the kitchen. With uncharacteristic carelessness, she draped her coat over the chair in front of the kitchen hearth. She reached into her handbag for a bottle of water, the apple and orange she'd snatched from the morning's breakfast buffet at the guest house but hadn't eaten on the plane, and arranged them in the empty fruit bowl on the kitchen island. That's better, she thought. Stepping aside to allow Drew space, Lauren shook off her regrets from withdrawing from her house a month earlier, knowing it had been unavoidable. She closed the door behind him. Want me to bring these upstairs, Drew asked. No, leave them, please. She didn't want to explain her need to replace the still air with herself. I'll bring them up. Drew shrugged and remained silent on the matter, as if he might be collecting signs of her mood in case he might need it later. They had been careful with each other since he'd picked her up at the airport an hour earlier, keeping the conversation light. He'd caught her up on his work projects, his parents' comings and goings. He reported on Brian's latest basketball successes, which he followed with parental fastidiousness. He needs another inch and he'll sink those three-pointers. Lauren hadn't said much, tentatively assessing whether the healing of the last month had followed her home. Drew and their nightly conversations had influenced her recovery process, yet those conversations were over, more than recovery would be expected of her. She allowed his banter to smooth the transition between the past, the present, and the future she would face when they arrived home, a future which she needed to discuss with Drew, a future which she had no idea how to begin. In the kitchen, Drew deposited her bags in a heap on the floor and dropped his hands by his side. With a shiver, Lauren turned away from him. Tears prickled her eyes. Drew approached her from behind and wrapped his arms around her. What is it, babe? It seems strange to be back, as if I've been gone for a long time and there's nothing left of me here. Oh, honey, you're in every nook and cranny of this house. Remember this chair we picked up off the side of the road and had reupholstered? He released one arm and twisted her toward the hearth with the other. With his free hand, removed her coat from the chair to run his hand over the blue velvet. I remember, she laughed. And this, he pointed to the old jar of jellied fruit or pureed vegetables on the kitchen counter. Remember when we pulled this from the old shelves in the basement? You didn't want to reach in to get it because you thought it might be guarded by snakes. She laughed again, remembering the scene as if it was yesterday. Full disclosure, Brian and I trashed this place while you were gone. I paid our office cleaners to come over and tidy up. That's why it seems so sterile. Ah, that explains it. You didn't have to do that. I would have cleaned it. Honey, you would have been so mad. 2 men left alone without your guiding cleanliness, dishes in the sink, rings in the toilet bowl, newspapers stacked. It wasn't pretty. Well, it wasn't necessary, but thank you. That was thoughtful. The housekeepers wanted to toss that jar, but I saved it. Should we open it? Yes. Lauren had forgotten about the jar, but the excitement of opening it improved her mood in exactly the right measure. Drew released her and they traveled to the counter together. He lifted the jar and twisted the top, but it was stuck tight. He banged it twice against the hardwood of the kitchen island and tried again. The top began to turn, spewing off an array of rusty metal chips in its wake. Open it over the trash can, Lauren said. This from a woman who moments ago said we shouldn't have hired a housekeeper to prepare for your return. Her grin spread across her face, baring her pearly white teeth. I'm back. Drew's shoulders relaxed as if the realization that Lauren was no longer a stranger to him and their home settled over him. He walked the jar over to the trash can with a levity in his step that wasn't there moments earlier. Hastening to get the top off amidst the new energy in the kitchen, he continued to twist. He removed the ring that surrounded the top of the jar, but the insert remained fastened to the glass. Lauren backed away to allow Drew to reach into the silverware drawer for a knife. Don't crack it, she said. I work with stone, remember? I'm good at not cracking things I don't mean to crack. Right. Drew slipped the knife between the metal lid of the jar, releasing the seal. He ran the knife around the rest of the opening, letting more rusty fragments drop into the trash. A not unpleasant odor emanated from the jar. When he flipped the top into the garbage can, Lauren came closer to peer over his shoulder. What do you think it is? Lauren lifted her eyes from the jar to Drew's eyes. It looks solid, as if it's old food that's congealed. Lauren plucked the knife from Drew's finger and stuck it inside the jar. It caught on something. Slowly, Drew advised. Lauren, who wasn't known for her patience, passed the knife to him. Here, you pull it out. Drew took the knife from her, ensured that it was well connected to the contents of the jar, and began to withdraw it. Out came what appeared to be an ancient piece of red cloth. Despite its age, it appeared intact as he kept pulling and pulling. Lauren took the hold of the jar. Drew stepped backward, unfolding the cloth into the room. When it was fully removed and free, Lauren returned the jar to the counter and examined the cloth dangling from the knife in Drew's hand. He held it up to get a better look. Lauren walked around it, looking for clues as to what it was. Drew held it stationary, but walked his eyes up and down. You know what I think it is, Drew finally said. What? Lauren asked with wide eyes. I'm not sure. We should have an expert examine it closer. Yes. I'm almost sure, but I could be wrong. What do you think it is? Of course, I lack the scientific foundation to make a conclusive assessment. Drew, just say it. What is it? Okay, I'm worried about putting my credentials on the line without further testing, but in my opinion, what we're looking at here is, yes, a red cloth. The smile on her face from moments earlier spread quickly and she laughed. Give me that, she said, grabbing the red cloth from the end of the knife and tossing it onto the chair by the hearth. He dropped the knife onto the island and grabbed her hand. Hey, can I show you something? Lauren left the smile on her face, enjoying the comedic moment and the way it was reuniting them. The space between them was closing. Their intimacy was returning. Their love was strengthening. She toyed with infusing these words into the moment, but she'd overtalked enough in her life to know when to zip it. Sure. What have you been up to? She uttered as Drew led her into the dining room. Positioned perfectly between the two front windows of the room, Drew always used a level, was a portrait of a beautiful young woman with straight blonde hair that hung down her back and eyes the color of the sea. Her translucent flesh was illuminated against the silky cobalt of blue dress against her pale skin. Should I put my hair up or brush it smooth down my back? Lauren remembered from her dream. She dropped Drew's hands and walked toward the painting to examine it up close. Where did you get this? She asked Drew. I found it stuck in the rafters of the rooms above the garage. I was just looking because it looked like some people might not be able to see me. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I found it in the room in the rafters stuck above the garage. It was in bad shape, but I brought it to the frame shop in Westville. They cleaned it up and reframed it. Given your obsession with the history of the house, I thought you'd like it. You thought right. I love it. Good. Drew joined Lauren in front of the painting, wrapping one arm around her. He used his other hand to tip her chin upward. And pressing their lips, they clung together, fusing what was his and what was hers until the man and woman who'd walked into that room were indistinguishable from one another. Enticed by their incarnation, they stepped closer, her leg between his chest engulfing hers as if knitting themselves together to never part again. Enshrouded within his muscular arms and connected through their shared breaths, the months of regret, self-hatred, and loneliness slipped away. When the kiss came to its logical closure, she stood up and planted another on his head. She'd got what she needed to move forward. Smiling at him over her shoulder, she grabbed her duffel and padded upstairs. Lauren paused a moment at the threshold of their bedroom, breathing in the smell of Drew that had permeated the space, then let out a breath, and then let out a deep breath to mingle their atoms in the air. She unpacked her bags and redeposited her toiletries in the master bathroom, inserting herself into every space on the second floor. Then she took a shower and darned an old pair of jeans and t-shirt. She applied lipstick and spritzed her favorite perfume on, which she'd neglected to bring to Georgia. She tossed her dirty clothes into the washing machine, grabbing soiled items from Brian's room and Drew's hamper to fill the machine. Then she went downstairs and returned the Ring family history binder onto the coffee table in the living room. Drew sat on the sofa reading the Times. Here goes nothing. Honey, I need to talk to you about something important, Lauren said. Drew patted the seat next to him. Is everything okay? Yes, I think so. She plopped onto the sofa and lifted her feet up onto the coffee table. Drew folded the paper and threw it on the table next to her feet. He planted his elbows on his knees and clasped his hands together. What's up? I guess I'll start from the beginning. While I was in Georgia, I met someone. Drew raised his clasped hands to his palm and palmed his forehead. No, it's not like that. I'm botching this. Let me start over. While I was in Georgia, I met an older woman, Evelyn. We were in the writing group together. Drew lowered his hands. The relief and curiosity in his eyes mixed into an intense stare, which he directed toward Lauren. To avoid a stare, Lauren directed her eyes over her shoulder and plowed on with the story. To be honest, I didn't like her much at first. She seemed, pretentious. She had this ancient husband with dementia that she didn't seem to treat very well. She wrote a lot about it during the early writing classes. She paused then and met Drew's eyes, which had moved from spewing curiosity to anxiety. Is this rhetoric relevant? Drew asked. Right, I forgot. I know how much you hate to talk about serious stuff. I guess I'll get to the point. No, Lauren, it's not that. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. After what we've been through, I should be more sensitive. In any event, her later writing revealed that her college-age granddaughter got accidentally pregnant and is planning to give the baby up for adoption. And I think we should adopt Evelyn's granddaughter's baby. Drew's head flew back and his eyes widened. What? We've never discussed adoption. I know, but I've had a lot of time to think about it, and I believe we should consider it. Drew shook his head. I don't know what to say. I didn't expect this. We don't have to decide now. Please, just think about it. Drew's eyes met Lauren's and his mouth started to twitch as if he was going to say something. She held her finger to her lips as Brian barged through the back door. Mom, you home? Brian shouted. We can talk more later. All I ask is that you not dismiss the idea. Just think about it, Lauren whispered before rising to wrap Brian in a hug. Later that night, after Brian caught her up on the comings and goings of his school curriculum, his friends, his team, his video games and television shows, after they devoured Lauren's 5-cheese macaroni and cheese, a cucumber and tomato salad, and brownies a la mode, after they'd filled the dishwasher and washed and dried the pasta pot, after she and Drew watched 2 reruns of Friends and while Brian did his homework, and after Brian's gentle snores assured them that he was asleep, Lauren and Drew slipped off their clothes and snuggled together between the sheets of their bed. It had been months since they'd made love. Before she left for Georgia, they were barely speaking, nonetheless touching. Without speaking, they agreed to rediscover each other in the darkness. Drew reached for her under the covers, positioning her the way he knew always gave her the most pleasure. Wrapped in his arms, he moved his hands over her breasts, her hips, her buttocks. All right, so this gets really racy here, and I know Philip really heated us up earlier, so I'm going to skip a little bit of the raciness here, but you guys can read Reading Road and fill in all the details later. And I'll get to this part. Oh my God, Lauren said when they rolled onto their backs and collapsed their sweaty bodies beside each other. I've missed that. Drew found her hand in the darkness. Me too, more than you can know. She squeezed his hand and held it there. Maybe tomorrow night after Brian's basketball game, we can grab dinner and talk more about your new friend and her granddaughter, Drew said. Lauren gave his hand another squeeze. Yeah, that sounds good. She held his hand until it went limp and his breathing signaled that he was falling into the early stages of sleep. She smiled to herself, thinking, some things never change. She fixed her eyes on the cable box clock on her dresser for another 2 minutes. When she was certain Drew's sleep had settled in, she slipped out of bed, secured her robe around her, and padded downstairs. The full moon shined brightly through the kitchen window, making it easier for her to find the red cloth where they'd left it. She pulled the cloth off the chair by the hearth, where they'd hastily dropped it hours earlier. While her eyes adjusted to the darkness, she took it by the edges and shook it in front of her. Although heavily creased, she could see that it was cut in the shape of a triangle. In the dim light, she detected how heavily saturated the cloth was with human oil secreted and seeping in over the years. There were areas where the cloth was darker than others. Dried fragments of whatever it had wiped fell onto the kitchen floor. Bringing it to her nose, she inhaled the deeply human smell of the rag. Hair, she thought. She held it there, letting it fill her senses and imagination, for she knew exactly what it was and from whom it had come. She carried the cloth into the living room, but the moonlight didn't follow her. She turned the key on the side lamp, which cast a yellow glow across the darkened room, and settled onto the sofa, curling her long legs beneath her. She pulled the binder off the coffee table and flipped backward to where she imagined Nan and Bet had arrived with their mother's kerchief, the lone relic from their lives as slaves. She tugged the afghan from the back of the sofa, draped it over her legs, and rested her head against the back. Bringing the kerchief to her nose again, she let the aroma transport her to Georgia, where she had started her day and the kerchief had originated. She remembered reading in one of her nursing texts that the sense of smell had a more profound connection to memory than any of the other four senses, as smells bypass normal sensory processing and head directly to the part of the brain where memories are saved. If a previous smell is re-experienced, the brain catapults to the original experience without being stopped, judged, or rerouted in the way a familiar picture or song might, resulting in a raw experience, unfettered by the passage of time. Returning to the binder, Lauren flipped to the next generation of the Ring family. The house passed to Everett and Elizabeth's daughter, Eunice Estelle Ring, 1868 to 1947. Eunice married George Madison Blackman, and the house passed to their daughter, May Estelle Blackman. May married Harrison Brown, 1898 to 1946, and they had 2 children. According to census records, May and Harrison lived at the home on Rig Road with her mother, Eunice Estelle Blackman, and children, Robert and Laura May Brown. Lauren had worried that her return to Connecticut might stifle the smooth transitions between her reality and that of the Rings that she'd enjoyed down south, but this was not the case. The kerchief in her hands and the closing of her eyes transported her back in time, as if the living room in which she sat was stripped of the modern leather furniture, the threadbare oriental rug, the mid-century coffee and end tables, the art, the sheetrock. What remained was 2 women, one old, one young, 70 years earlier in 1935. May Blackman and her mother Estelle were sitting next to her in chairs. Collectively, Estelle, May, and Lauren all drew their attention to the old hope chest propped between the 2 front windows. So I think I'm going to stop there. It goes into the story about flip forward to Estelle and them are actually sorting out a hope chest. So, but that's it for now. Thank you.
Meredith, thank you so much. What an incredible reading from your book. I was fully in the scene. I was swooning. And it was just absolutely gorgeous. And, I feel like I'm in these characters' lives. I got to get the book.
Oh, now I'm reading the chat and you guys wanted me to read the sex part. No skipping, no busy. All right, next time. Maybe you'll have to have like a super sex tonight and Philip and I can read all the raunchy parts.
We should do that maybe, yes.
We'll have after hours.
There you go. Maybe you have to have an ID or something.
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Well, we are going into Q&A time here. So that means audience from Facebook, from YouTube, you got to get us your questions. You got to send them in and let us know what you'd like to ask our incredible readers for tonight. So you don't forget, and I think Meghan ran to grab a glass of wine or a snack, perhaps. I'll do this so we can see our little name tags here. Or maybe this will be, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. So our first reader, Philip J. Curtis, aka Midnight, and an extra round of applause. And our second reader, Meghan Muldowney, will give her a shout out when she is back in her seat there. Deb Carr, yeah. Susan M. Davis, yay. And then our feature reader for tonight, Meredith Kazer. So we're so excited to hear from all of you and to have you answer our audience's questions, which they're typing in right now. But we often start out by asking a question about how things have been going since. Oh, there's Meghan. Hello, Meghan.
Hey.
That's all right. We usually start out by asking how things have been going. The vaccine is out here now, and that's good. But how has your writing been going in quarantine? How has the writing and the writing about love been going in quarantine? Has it affected you? Has it inspired you? Oh, that puppy. That puppy, Meghan. Oh, he's the sweetest.
He has inspired me. Well, not really, but not in terms of writing, but in terms of life. So
yes, maybe some love from a beautiful new puppy is just what you need after all of this craziness, right?
too.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get started with Philip. Philip, how have you been doing during all of this? And how has it affected your writing? How has it influenced your writing about relationships, being so distant from everyone?
I'll say during COVID season, it's really been a blessing in a roundabout way. I have to go to work every day for work because where I work at, that's a challenge in its own way. But the writing has opened a lot of opportunities virtually because, one day I could be in New York, I could be in Boston, I could be in India,
Right.
and because I do workshops as well, I've been able to do workshops in Jersey at different high schools, not some colleges, and some with teachers. So it's been a blessing. You got to make the best out of it.
And so that's been a huge silver lining, that we've probably been reading and performing and sharing more, meeting more people who we would otherwise never meet because of location limits, like the limits of,
Yes.
where we are. It's just like with you, Philip, you're in Colorado right now. We're in Connecticut, and we're like best writing friends. We met through this.
Right?
So that's just really wonderful. What about you, Megan? How has it been going in terms of writing during this time?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I have been really lucky that I have been involved with two very fabulous Zoom workshop groups, one of which is more of an open mic that I'm in with Susan and Deb, and another one is a little bit more of a typical structured workshop where two people are workshopped for an hour each. So that has really helped with keeping me on track with my own writing, because, it's so wonderful to be inspired by other writers, to have people that support you in this program. And I think that's sort of the beauty of the Fairfield MFA, is that we really have this beautiful community here, and just, we might not be on the island, but I feel like we're always on the island in our hearts, and our spirits.
Yes.
It's been wonderful to stay connected to this community. So that has been a huge part of my writing during quarantine.
Fabulous. Thanks, Megan. What about you, Deb? You're part of that group.
Yes, I definitely am. So I would say COVID-19 has been a mixed blessing because I was kind of our group was forced to work from home. So the good thing about that is I no longer had like a 90-minute one-way commute. That freed up a lot of energy that I didn't otherwise have. And then this Fumfa evening reading, and then joining the group with Meg and Susan kind of helped to jumpstart my writing.
Great.
And continue it. And then there's also, I'm part of a group in Southern Maryland that's a Southern Maryland writers group, but that is they have formal workshops, and it's a much bigger Zoom group. You could have like 30 people or more.
Wow.
Whereas Susan and company's group is much smaller, so it's a little easier to read works and get a critique.
I think that's so interesting is that, in a way we're connecting more with people who are further from us, when we might not have thought of that if everything were just kind of the way that it always was.
Correct.
So I love this, like the silver linings that have sort of come about, and even our live stream right here, what we're all kind of enjoying and sharing in so much, probably would not have happened exactly like this if we'd never been forced into this situation. Of course, we don't like the circumstances of a pandemic, but we certainly hope to continue this, or COVID or no COVID, as long as we possibly can, because it's been so comforting and so wonderful. Susan, what about you?
Well, first of all, Meredith, thank you. That was so sweet what you said. I remember you, and your accolades are huge. I admire you so much. And anyway, well, I retired a year ago, January 1st, And so it opened up a whole new door to travel the world, not because of the pandemic. So I really got on a great writing schedule. I go to my coffee group every day, and Karen can stay alone for 4 hours, and I come home and I go into my office that I had built, and I wrote an entire book of poetry.
Awesome.
And I hated poetry, and now I'm in love with it. I have to write it every day. I think I've written 100 poems in a year.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I have to update my bio because the Gay and Lesbian Review published my essay Quarters, which I had tried for 2 years to get published. And then I was just a finalist in a writing contest with Adelaide, and they published my, I don't know what essay I sent them, but it's going to be in their 2020 anthology. So with the pandemic and everything, I have to say I'm pretty lucky. I got a book contract and I got 2 essays published.
You know, I mean, it could be worse. You know?
And these lovely
amazing.
people, Deb, Meghan, I get to see every week. And we live for that Tuesday evening.
Yes, that is so great.
And what you, Katie, and Chris do, I think this is my 3rd time reading. You guys are the best.
We love you, Susan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I can't forget that Philip wrote a beautiful haiku for us.
Yes.
And he arose earlier too. Certainly so much love in this community and among our readers and friends. And we're so just absolutely delighted to be able to share this time together. Yeah. And Meredith, we've got to ask you. You are the dean of the School of Nursing at Fairfield University. You've written lots of nursing books. You've written several novels at this point. How is it going? I just want to get into your world. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your writing and your routines and how you do it all.
Well, first, I'm so jealous of you guys who found a little more time in your world to do your writing, because it's what I want to do all the time. I didn't have that experience because the pandemic really accelerated the need for nurses, while at a time really challenging education. So since last February, I remember it was just about a year ago, I was away for the weekend and I got the first call that one of our nursing students had gotten exposed. And so it was a real push and pull. We had students who were in Italy and Ireland who we needed to bring home. We needed to continue to educate them because the world needed nurses and public health experts, which is what we do. And yet nobody would educate them because the healthcare agencies were really struggling with how to do that safely. There was a shortage of PPE. So it's been a very, very difficult year. We've kind of come full circle now, and we have some PPE and we're able to educate nurses. So, and somehow I got that novel.
It happened somehow.
It happened. It would really, there's a little bit of Lauren in me where I'm kind of tenacious. We're like, I got something and I got to do it. So I'm an early morning writer. I get up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, and and then it goes. Once you start and you're like, okay, just one more page. Let me just get this down here. And when you do that and you make yourself do that, 5 days a week or so, there you go. It
happens.
It happens. It gets there somewhere. Yeah.
I have a quick question for you, Meredith, and then we have a little question from Chris Madden that has come up. Yep. But I wanted to ask you, with all of that, like being having such a really critical role in everything that's kind of been unfolding, was writing a bit of an escape, kind of going into this different world that you're creating? And was it nourishing? Was it healing in a way?
It's the only thing I do that can actually get my head out of my other job.
Wow.
Because I can lose myself in writing. There's nothing else that distracts me in the same way. I can multitask, but I've always got my eyes on my dean job and the needs of the faculty and the students. But when I write, I just write. I am in that world with Lauren and her family, and it's such a beautiful opportunity. And like you guys, I'm so grateful for all of you and to have been in the MFA program. I've got some great buddies who I met, my friends Mary and Heather, which we met the very first day. We continue to gather together now on Zoom, but we used to hang out together. And it's been and the faculty and all of the wonderful friends I met. And I'm so very grateful for that opportunity, especially at a time like this, because it is the one thing that really gives me peace.
Amen.
Well, amen to that. Yes. That's awesome.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Meredith. We have this question. Chris, can you read it for
I
us?
absolutely can. This is from our friend Chris Madden, who everybody's been talking about technology and how that's, helped us out during this time, connecting with people. But have any of you found that technology is creeping into your writing?
Nope.
In some way, shape, or form?
As a topic, as a theme?
Either as a topic, or has it maybe even affected your writing, but not necessarily you're writing about technology? I mean, it's kind of hard. Yeah.
Get in there, Philip. Yes.
In a roundabout way, it has affected my writing in the sense that I'm doing a lot of open mics. I'm starting my own Zoom open mics. I have 2 of them, the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month. So my writing in technology, because there's so many different open mics I'm doing, I have to keep writing to keep up with the technology of being virtual in different places and not trying to be so repetitive at different spots.
Nice. That's another kind of great silver lining here. Like maybe it's a bit of pressure, but that's also so exciting too that, with these additional shows that you're able to do and these audiences that you're being pushed forward to write more and more new stuff. I think that's great. And we want to go. I want to come to one of those open mics, Philip.
Yeah, I do too.
Come in there.
I got you. Not a problem. I got another one at 9:30 tonight, but I might not want to come to that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I would definitely want to check it out.
Susan, go ahead.
Yes. I think I'm the only one on the West Coast, right? In this Zoom tonight. So for me, I don't write anything about technology, but technology has kept me so close at heart to all of you. And, I just have loved Zoom because it's not like I could just get in a car and go meet all of you guys, right. But Tuesday night and Sunday nights, you guys are here. And so for me, it's been a godsend. It really has.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I would have to say the same thing. It's not like technology has crept into my writing so that I'm writing about
Zoom.
The only time that happened was around that the topic crept into my writing was when around Christmas time when Chris was throwing out writing prompts, and I started writing this really bizarre story about this mink who met Santa at the North Pole and he had COVID-19.
Awesome. Love it.
I still want to turn that into a children's book, but
there you go.
I'll take 5% of that.
Okay. But it's more like the technology has facilitated being part of the writing community.
Right.
Nice. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like here and there we've had maybe a technology poem or a poem or a story that references something that's happening. I feel like there is a wave coming.
Yeah. There's been a lot. We've seen some, COVID poems and stuff, but less about the actual technology. But I'm wondering anybody, but it's particularly Meredith, because you specifically, have been writing romances. Like, is there going to be like a wave of like Zoom romance novels or something? It's like, I don't know how people.
Oh, there have to be.
For sure. Absolutely.
Long distance romance.
I'm not going to write that.
COVID safe romance. Oh my God, yeah. I've been thinking about like where you could go with that.
Yeah, right? I know all our heads are spinning.
There won't be any stroking of,
Keyboards.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. I've heard of some weird things that people have been forced to do via
Oh,
Zoom,
true.
but obviously they're not doing them with each other. So.
Remote.
I guess you get, the blow up dolls, maybe. I don't know.
There are apps. There are all kinds of apps. I've heard.
Oh yeah,
You've got a whole bunch of theme nights going.
Somebody write a poem about that.
It's great birth control and it's free.
Yeah, there you go. There's a benefit. I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting to see birth rates going up in some ways, but going down in others.
Right.
Probably down.
Yeah.
We've got a
Somebody has a
question
question
for
for Phil. Yeah, what inspires you, Phil, aka Midnight, in respect to your spoken word poetry?
What inspires me?
Yeah,
Just the world around me, I guess. I'm a pretty good listener. Sometimes while I'm in the house, my background noise would be court TV, and that keeps the wheels going.
really.
If I'm in a rut when I'm having writer's block or something like that, I'll watch a documentary, and then I'll flip my mind to what I just heard and listened to and watched.
Interesting.
Wow.
Or I will listen to songs that are not as popular and grab a line from there and keep on running.
Yes, I know what you mean. That's great.
So,
you have this content. Yeah.
So here's a fun fact. I will give out writing prompts, but I rarely write on writing prompts, because if you got 50 people writing the same thing, by the third person, I'm like, oh crap, that's better than what I wrote. I'm not sharing that. So I'd rather try to create something else different, which something you'll see next week.
Ooh, I'm excited, Fab.
Right.
It's gonna be great. Oh, fabulous. So yes, Philip will be back with us next week, so that'll be exciting. So you'll have to stay here for that. I'm dying to ask you, maybe starting with Meredith, about writing about love, writing about romance, and I guess starting with Meredith, how did you get into writing romance? And then I guess for everyone else who isn't necessarily writing romance, how do you approach writing about love? So Meredith, go for it.
Yeah, so I didn't set out to be a romance writer. I really just wanted to be a character writer. I wanted to delve into the lives of people. But love is so much a part of everyone. And so when I, probably like everyone, when I originally wrote The Keeping House, I wrote it from a couple of different points of view. And when I went to get it published, a lot of the editors who were looking at it were like, we just want a female perspective. And a lot more of the female perspective related to, so Drew was a very like minor character in the first drafts of The Keeping House, and they wanted a lot more of him and the romance. So I guess it was just survival. So I had to just go there. I just had to dive into Lauren's thoughts about survival, Lauren's thoughts about Drew and the romance and it evolving. And every time I put out a draft to the editors, they're like, we want more, we want more, we want more. So they really just dive in really deep. And so they kind of forced the story, and it was fun to write. I mean, who doesn't want to write about love? And of course, he's the ideal guy, just as I said. He's got Chris's bod there, he's even got like a thing out there, and he opens the jar just like you were drinking your beer out of a jar earlier. I mean, he's the guy. But he just evolved because they wanted Lauren to be like Lauren, but they wanted her to be in love, and so he's the guy.
That is so great. I think, and sometimes these different outside forces or voices, end up pushing us in a direction that we didn't start out in, but we end up just loving and embracing and just doing so well. That was so beautifully written, and the characters are so vivid. The scene was so vivid, and also, I was swooning. I enjoyed the whole experience of it. So that's fabulous. And would anyone else like to share? Like, how do you approach writing about love? Is it something that you go for it, Susan?
Well, I love to write about sex. So if you purchase Lipstick Lesbian, you will. Let me just. Adriana Paramo just sent me this morning. She did a review of mine. Through lyric experimentation, Davis moves the reader from erotica to grief and from despair to rebirth. So there you go. She put the E word in there for me. Anyway, she wrote some other stuff, but as soon as you said that, I thought, oh, the erotica. I love to write about it. I love to write about what I have lived. And yeah, I love it.
I think you just sold some books, Susan.
Meredith did too, because she left a cliffhanger.
I'm telling you.
Yes,
she did.
It's such a gift to be able to write about sex, and I love the way Phil did, and I'm so excited to hear about yours, Susan, because it's in everybody's head, and so to give it voice and it's hard to do. When I was in the MFA program, we did with Michael, we did a workshop on writing sex scenes. We had a ton of fun with it, but it's really hard to do. But I think so important to the field, to literature, that we put some words to what people are experiencing.
Yeah. I have to agree, Meredith. Phil, I think you're above and beyond me. I mean, I love to write about sex. For you tonight, yeah. A lot of cold showers going on. That was something, dude. That was great.
We almost need an encore, I think.
I think we need that Fumfa sex night.
Erotica night.
Oh, yeah. It was great.
I'm actually doing an erotic show tonight at 9:30.
So there isn't. Yes, Phil and the link. That's great.
It's
That's
gonna be
so
like
great.
10 of us.
Nice. Nice.
Phil, where can we see how can we come to a Zoom of yours?
Well, you can follow me usually on when I'm going to do anything. I post it on Facebook and I post it on Instagram.
Okay,
but,
great.
Mostly Instagram, Midnight Poet 00.
Okay.
And you can
I'll
follow
add
me there.
You. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we'll keep in touch, because like I said, I'm doing a second and fourth Wednesday open mic.
Yes.
And one of the things that I'm doing on the fourth, the open mic on the fourth, I want to bring people that just released material so that they can highlight it. Because I mean, you could put it on your page and say, "Hey, I just did this, that, and the third thing."
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't get a chance to talk about it,
right,
you don't get to get out there. So, yeah, we can definitely do that.
That'd be great. I might have to write a sex poem with you, Phil.
There you go. I like the title of your book. That's great.
Well, thank you.
All right. You know what? I think we're getting close to our finish time here, but I feel like we should do a slightly modified version of our famous last question.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, what do you think? I'm thinking we should ask everybody for a pearl of wisdom for writers, and maybe with the specialty of like also with writing about love, romance, sex, etc.
And also book recommendations, but the most romantic book.
Yes.
Oh, can I go first?
Yes,
Yeah.
go for it, Megan. Dive in. A piece of advice for writing about love and most romantic book recommendation.
Okay, so my advice for writing about love is that people respond well to authenticity and vulnerability. So the more honest and truthful that you are with your writing, I think people will pick up on that and really respond to it. So that's my advice, is just to try to be as authentic and honest and genuine in your writing as you feel comfortable being. And then for most romantic book, I'm going to throw it back to a really old choice of mine that my friend Laura, who was on the live stream earlier watching, recommended to me. And it's a book from the 40s, and it is called Mrs. Mike by Benedict and Nancy Friedman. And it is the tale of a Canadian Mountie and a sort of wealthy Irish Catholic girl from Boston. And the book is written by a husband and wife team, which I feel like is kind of unusual, especially for the 40s. And it's a very interesting story about how these two fall in love and they're living out in the Canadian wilderness, experiencing a lot of interesting things. So that's my recommendation.
Wow.
Thanks, Megan. And Deb?
Oh boy. I would probably echo Megan's suggestion that you want to be authentic about what you're writing about. And you don't have to strictly write only what you know, but if it's something that you're passionate about, then you need to find out more about it to make it authentic. So, it's somebody reading it, it's, seamless. It's like it feels real to them. Then you will have succeeded. The most romantic book. See, that's the thing. If Rod Serling is my spirit animal, that's not really my wheelhouse. But I'll be very honest with you. I'll give a plug to Susan Davis's book. Seriously, where there's breath, there is life, because that is real. Where she talks about the struggles in the relationship and how she persevered.
Oh, Deb, thank you.
That's better than any Harlequin romance.
Thank you. Wow. Thanks, Deb.
All right, and we'll go around. We'll do Susan, then Philip, and we'll finish up with Meredith. So, Susan, why don't you go?
Well, my heart is filled tonight. For me, it's a little different because I am 100% gay, lesbian. So, writing about lesbian love 10 years ago was not easy. 20 years ago was impossible. So I think I've become a writer at the right time. LGBTQ is really out there. And so I think it's a little different for me because I do write about my lesbian love affairs. 8 women. So with that said, I don't know that I have a favorite book. I do. I don't know the title. It was my first lesbian book I read 40 years ago. I don't even remember the title. But now don't boo-hoo me. I did like 50 Shades of Grey only for the sex. I love the sex. Hated the story.
Okay.
I only read 2 out of the 3. I didn't watch the movie, but I just liked it for the sexual experience.
Well, there you go.
Every other paragraph. Anyway. There we go.
Thank you, Susan. And Philip, a piece of advice, your romantic love book recommendation, or
Well, I'm gonna feed off what Megan said because it makes sense if you write about your experiences. But I'm single, so there's not too many experiences. I got a
I hear you, Philip.
imagination, so I could take something and run with it from there, as well as boom. After Midnight is my erotic book.
Ooh.
There it is.
Midnight is my erotic book, and also
Wow.
there's something. This is kind of bad, but it's kind of cool at the same time. Biblically speaking, the Song of Solomon, he's like, her breasts are like towers. I'm like, what?
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know what you mean, Philip. That is fabulous. Sounds good. Sounds good. And Meredith, a piece of advice about writing love and romantic book recommendation.
So I guess my piece of advice would be to just go out there and do it. When you want to write, just learn to write. I started the MFA program. I was well into my 40s, could have been even tipping 50 there. I was, already I was faculty, and just putting yourself out there is a way to really grow in your writing and your skills. So if you're feeling nervous, look at all of us out there who've done that, and just go for it, because the rewards are so much worth the investment. And I was totally going to say the 50 Shades of Grey, because the sex in that book is really good. So I love that. I'm also just going to put a plug in, if you haven't read it, and I wouldn't say this is my all-time favorite romance novel, but it's a really nice story in The Vanishing Half, new book out by Britt Bennett. Really nice story about a kind of a couple who were a very non-traditional couple who stick with each other through thick and thin, and really just a nice story. So I won't give away too much, but that's worth a read.
Oh, yay.
Well, thank you so much to all of our guests for tonight: Philip J. Curtis, Meghan Muldowney, Deb Carr, Susan M. Davis, and Meredith Kazer. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you, and thank you, Chris, my wonderful co-host over here.
Chris and Katie, you two rock.
Thank you. Well, we love you guys, and we love you in the audience. Have a happy rest of your Valentine's Day, and have a great night. We will see you next week.
Next week.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.